You were my marketing coach at Lattice, and we met as I was trying to scale myself and, sort of move from just, the first marketer at Lattice to a VP of marketing. And you really were amazing and really helped me become a better marketer. But also probably more importantly, helped me learn how to like be an executive at a company. And I know you did this not just for me, but you had, you were coaching a lot of other, aspiring marketers at the time. And so I'm curious, like what common challenges you see marketers face as they grow their careers. Are there certain patterns that emerge as people try and move from kind of a solo marketer to a director and VP and beyond?
Yeah, a few. But first, I want to call you out for. I mean, everything was in you, and it was such a pleasure to work with you. And thank you for the kind words. It was really a privilege to see you grow. And if you don't mind, I'll give examples of how you've done it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because first, you were an incredibly high performing, fast producing IC who also had created or started enlisting a really strong team. And then, so the next thing to understand is I cannot do everything anymore. I need to hire people who are better than me at their craft. So segmenting, you are doing everything. And all of a sudden, you need to create a product marketing function. You need to create a content function. You need to create a comms function, field marketing, growth, etc. In your case, and to anybody, I'd recommend we'll also understand, is there anything of that you want to hold out and keep to yourself because you love doing it? In your case, you love doing multi-channel integrated campaign, brand work, website work. That part you kept. So what is that you love doing? And it's going to be very difficult finding someone who's better than you at that. And what are the other things that you need to hire for? And then spend time initially up front understanding what is the job of a product marketer. Interview a few without actually interview. Actually, by that I mean benchmark. Understand what the role is about, but mostly what each role will be about at your company, because product marketing at company A could be vastly different from product marketing at company B. Same thing, what type of growth leader, demand gen. So really think about that and understand each role, understand who you're trying to hire. Never hesitate, and this is what you did, to hire people who seem more impressive than you and you're going to learn from. Think of every hire as a gift to the company, to your team, and to yourself, because they're going to push you to become better. I've seen some people just shy away from hiring people who are better than them because they thought, hey, they're going to take my role. Great. Your boss wants you to have a succession plan. Just build a succession plan. So you went from, and then you more and more you communicate about your vision, the key priorities, repeat them again and again, remove blockers for your team instead of doing stuff for them, allow them to try stuff and sometimes fail, and then urge the reflex that someone like you may have had because you knew how to fix something in 5 minutes. They didn't. Give them pointers, but let them do it. And then take stock on a regular basis. Where do you stand? How am I doing there? The fact that we were working together was, I think, also helpful because it allowed you to stop and think, like, and get challenged by somebody else. Like, why did you do this? Or is that okay that you don't touch this anymore? And do they need any guidance? And where you are exceptional is you remove blockers for them all the time. And you show them also this culture of moving fast and trying things. And that even when you were managing a large team, you were still getting your hands dirty, and that also set the tone.
And I think you were so helpful in just making sure like I was on the right track and not going crazy, because I was just learning so much on my own. But I never actually worked at a SaaS marketing program before, so I didn't know actually what good looked like. And so you were like such a helpful barometer in understanding, oh, I am on the right track, or oh, this problem is really common. Like one thing that comes to mind was like the email list, right? We were all fighting over how many emails we can send out. Demand gen wants to send emails, events wants to send emails, content wants to send emails. And I remember you saying to me, like, that's just the problem that marketing teams have. Like at Yahoo, right? I think there was like, a very clear process to like get an email out the door, right? And like little tactical things were so helpful in just me being like, oh, this is just what a scaled marketing program looks like. So yeah, thank you.
You're bringing a great point. Basically, there's a few things as a marketing leader you need to do exceptionally well and in different way. But most of the other things are very similar, and people face the same thing. So surround yourself with friends, network, join communities that face the same challenges, because you'll learn so fast and so much. and especially now, there's so much content and communities everywhere. It'd be a crime not to do it. And then, ask your, in this case, when we worked together, it was because Jack, CEO and founder and co-founder, believed in you. So he said, I've got someone who's crazy high potential, hasn't seen the movie before. Can you help? But everybody deserves a buddy like that. Whether you pay them or not, it's really essential to find your support system. Other advice for marketers in tech, especially, a lot of them get too quickly disconnected from product and especially customers. And I'm going back to the points I was making at LinkedIn before. Customer proximity is your magic potion. You lose that, you can become irrelevant pretty quickly, or you become someone who creates programs, runs programs, look at budgets, and we need some people like that. But as the head of marketing for a company, you are serving a CEO typically that has amazing intuition and understanding of the customer. They expect you to also understand the customers and the market. If you want to build a great relationships with product, you need to infuse that knowledge of the competitive environment, the market, the customers. If you want to build a great relationship with sales, you of course need to serve them with qualified leads enablement, which also starts with expertise of market and customers. And that is one thing that if we don't prioritize it, it falls to the cracks. But these days, staying in touch with customers can be as easy as listening to 3 gong calls a week. But ideal also just building relationships with customers so that they keep educating you. That's the one thing that I see. I hear a lot of CEOs complain about the head of marketing.
And that's something I definitely thought I was doing at Lattice, but in retrospect, I was not doing enough. Like at Doc now, I am so deeply invested with customer relationships, managing support, getting on calls, talking to people. Like I just really understand that problem, and I was not getting on calls enough with like the HR folks we were selling at Lattice. And in retrospect, I probably could have done an even better job if I had done that. One other go
Same
ahead, yeah.
thing for me. I told you I should have done that also a lot more. I was doing it every week at Udacity, talking to student a week. I was doing it quite a bit at LinkedIn, arguably never enough. But you look at a CEO, for instance, will probably spend, after even they've got an established sales team, hopefully anywhere between 10 and 20% of their time with customers. And in marketing, if you don't understand them, you go nowhere. So yeah,
And
it's great motivation.
one of the big transitions for me was kind of once you're a VP, right, your sort of first team becomes the exec team, and working with all of these different functional leaders, right, and you obviously still have to manage the marketing team, but you have to work with sales and product and the CEO and that group, and then you also have to work with the board and kind of manage that relationship. Do you have any advice for marketers who are kind of just becoming a VP on how they can manage either both the exec relationships and kind of the board side of things?
Yeah, sure. The first thing is I'm going back to, if you know the customers already, that gives you a wonderful set of insights to bring and contribute. 2, and I remember we were talking about that. Imagine the analogy of you're at the center of your team initially. You're doing a lot of things. You're coordinating all the trains, etc. But get yourself out of there to operate at the periphery, which gives you more bandwidth to spend time with the relationships. So it means hiring right, having clear roles and responsibilities, OKRs, and letting your team operate as autonomously as they can. Then build clear expectations with your peers. By that, have sales, product, etc. I did that wrong at LinkedIn for a long time, where I was negotiating almost expectations with them one by one, and my priorities with them one by one. And of course, they had different priorities and different agendas. So what I learned, and what my advice would be, make sure that the expectations are discussed in public with the constituents, so they hear the trade-offs you're dealing with. You put forth a recommendation, and then you discuss it as a team. CEO, head of product, head of sales, you, and maybe your top lieutenants together. And you come up with a list that's published and clear. These are the things that marketing is supposed to do first. Here's how it's staffed. Here are the things below the line. And then you can validate with the board, socialize with the board, not validate. But until you got this alignment, because marketing could be doing so many different things, you're going to be in trouble. And then there's ways to address the relationships with each function if you want to get into that, product, sales, etc. But these are the initial requirements.
Yeah, I still actually remember doing that exercise with you. We had like a big whiteboard and it was me, you, Jack, and Jazak in a room. And I like listed out all of the marketing things and we listed out like the top 5 priorities and what fell below the line. And it really just helped me communicate to Jack and Jazak. It was like, hey, here's all the stuff I am doing. Each of these have, needs to be staffed in a certain way, have different, impacts on the business, and just having a framework and a way to talk with the other execs of the company about it was so helpful, and giving them a sense of too of like why I was making decisions and why I was maybe deprioritizing outbound over SEO and things like that. So yeah, thank you for that.
Pleasure. It's the template is crazy basic, but it's the exercise of doing that together. Example, Algolia. The head of product wanted in the top 3 of marketing to see product launches. Of course, right? His team creates product. He wants to launch them in the right way and drive massive adoption right away. But they hired me as a fractional CMO to build up their enterprise marketing motion. And the CEO was super clear about that. We're all in the room, and the head of product hears that firsthand from the CEO. And then you go, oh, okay, I understand. So now the exercise for him becomes, how do I do that on my own with my team? And can marketing support give me the tool instead of the actual bandwidth? And that magic line, row of below the line, for now, is so helpful.